All Indiana Politics is your premier source for Indiana politics, focusing on issues that matter to you.
I still want us to be the best in the Midwest.
We can't afford another lockdown.
Give the citizens of this country the relief they need.
Education in the state of Indiana remains priority number one.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage.
We don't know exactly where the economy will be in January.
People are worried with good reason.
Exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders.
We have the resources here in the state of Indiana to care for those who are in need.
Expert analysis on critical legislation.
We need to reform those laws.
This recovery is going to take some time.
We've got to anticipate that there'll be a budget shortfall.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
I'm Garrett Bergquist, government reporter for Wish TV and the producer of All Indiana Politics. After more than a year of campaigning, Election Day is finally almost here. On Tuesday, you, the voters, will decide who will be Indiana's next governor, its next U.S. senator, its next attorney general, and of course, the next president of the United States. I sat down with the chairs of Indiana's Republican and Democratic parties. We talked about how they're feeling going into election night, the controversies surrounding the Republican candidate for lieutenant governor, Micah Beckwith, and perhaps most important, which races to keep an eye on after the polls close on Tuesday. We begin with Indiana Republican Party Chair Randy Head. Randy, how are you feeling about this election?
I'm feeling really good. Our candidates have worked really hard. We've got a strong ticket, and we feel like things are on the right track.
In terms of vote margins, what makes a good night for you?
Winning is winning no matter what. We've got some competitive races certainly, but winning all these races is going to be a big deal for us, and that's going to be a pass-fail course. The margin is going to be just fine.
There's been a lot of attention on the state level races, the congressional races. What's one under the radar race that you're really going to have your eye on Tuesday night?
I'm taking a look at some state house races. There's a race in Bloomington and Brown County and Jackson County with Dave Hall I'm going to be taking a look at. And that's not under the radar to Dave or anyone in that area of the state, but that's going to be a good bellwether, I think, to tell us if we're going to have a fantastic night or just a good night. Scott Hawkins and Wendy Dant-Chester down on the river is another state house race that I'll have my eye on for the same reasons.
How would you rate your chances of preserving the supermajority in the General Assembly?
I think the chances are good. There are certainly some competitive races there, but the Democrats have to pick up 4 to break the supermajority, and I feel good about our chances.
Were you surprised that the delegates to the state party convention this summer chose Micah Beckwith over Julie McGuire for lieutenant governor? And it's worth noting you were not the chair at the time.
Right, I was the convention chairman, but not the state party chairman at the time, so I had I don't want to say bird's eye, I had an up front and up close view of everything. After his presentation on stage, it wasn't a surprise. He was very well organized. He got a lot of his supporters to run for delegate. He ran a very good campaign, and the results were what they were.
Beckwith has made a series of controversial comments both before and after getting the nomination. Most recently, he said that he wanted to deport Haitian refugees who are in Logansport under temporary protected status. Are you worried that comments like that might make him a liability to the Braun campaign?
No, I think that Micah represents a portion of our party that felt neglected, and he recruited those people and organized and worked very well, and he ran a great convention race. I think after the election over, he's going to be a good partner to Mike Braun, and Mike Braun's going to be in charge.
Does someone with a history of comments like that belong a heartbeat away from the governor's chair?
Oh, I don't know about a history of comments like that. He said some things that are controversial, certainly, and that make people think and that make people stretch some. But I think that he's going to learn as he goes along. And like I said, he's going to be a good partner. Mike Braun's going to be in charge, and Micah is going to be in charge of the things the lieutenant governor is in charge with. Mike Braun will make the overall policy for things that the executive branch needs to do. And I'm very comfortable with Mike Braun doing that. He's well situated. He's got a great record, a lot of experience, and he's the right candidate.
How much impact do you think the national level races, and particularly the race for president, are going to have on the state level races, especially the down ballot races? Because we got a lot of county and judicial races on the ballot, too.
We do, all over the state. There are a lot of those. I think that Donald Trump's going to have some coattails in Indiana. He had them before when he ran both times, and I think that that trend's going to continue. Indiana's a strong state for Trump. Earlier, we were first on the board. I think that we'll be first or close to it on the board for him again on November 5th. I think our down ballot races are going to be affected by that in a good way.
Since you mentioned him, former President Trump has signaled that he would only accept the results of the 2024 election if he wins. Will the Indiana Republican Party accept the national level results for the presidential election regardless of who wins?
Yes, I mean, as long as if there's some kind of court case going on to overturn something, we'll watch that. But the process is what it is. We count the votes. Whoever gets the most votes wins.
That was Indiana Republican Party Chair Randy Head. We now hear from Indiana Democratic Party Chair Mike Schmull. Mike, how are you feeling going into this election?
You know, I'm feeling really good. I think that our candidates are closing strong. I think that Jennifer McCormick has run a great campaign for governor. Obviously, there's been a lot of attention around the outside money that's come in from both the Democratic Governors Association and the Republican Governors Association. Both those groups would not be playing in Indiana if it wasn't a close race. And so we are doing everything we can down the home stretch to get as many Hoosiers as possible to vote.
In terms of vote margins, what will make a good night for you?
Obviously, a good night and a great night would be if Jennifer McCormick is the next governor of Indiana and the first woman governor of Indiana. That would be historic, and that would be a clear win. You know, there's no question that our party has rebuilded over the last few years. I've worked really hard at that. Our candidates have, our volunteers have, our donors have, our supporters have, our voters have. My hope is that we just show that we are extremely competitive in Indiana and that we can win a race like governor.
How did the selection of Micah Beckwith as Mike Braun's running mate change the game for Democrats over the last few months?
Yeah, I think that it's interesting. You know, Mike Braun won their primary, I think, with under 40% of the vote. And so, you know, that's a big number of folks who did not vote for Mike Braun for governor on the Republican side of the aisle. And I don't know if he's fully consolidated the Republican Party just a few days out before the election. I think that there's a lot of folks who preferred some other candidate and are open to other candidates for governor. And so, number one, you know, he did not have a great showing on that primary night. I think the second thing is the first pick that you have as a nominee is to pick your running mate. And he came up short in that. He actually wasn't able to pick the person that he wanted to run alongside. And so, you know, Micah Beckwith, no question that he's out there with some of his views, some of his extremism, some of the things that he posts and comments about. And we've been very clear in trying to highlight that consistently at the party, that Hoosier voters need to know what this guy's about and what he stands for. And so Mike Braun didn't select him, doesn't want to campaign alongside him, but he stuck with him. And so we need to make sure that Hoosiers know the full extent of the extremism within that ticket.
And that leads me to my next question. Does this provide an opening for McCormick?
I think absolutely. I think Jennifer McCormick is a unique candidate in this moment in Indiana. Her first ad, where she talks about being a statewide elected official previously in 2016, elected as a Republican statewide, superintendent of public instruction. And so Hoosiers have already voted her into office once before. And so I think that Hoosiers are looking to get past a lot of this extremism, past supermajority politics, and to a place where there's more balance, fairness, common sense in Indiana. You know, we shouldn't be making headlines for embarrassing things or extreme things or for all the wrong reasons. We should be making headlines in Indiana for delivering for Hoosiers, delivering for kids, delivering for workers, making Indiana the best place it can be to live. And I think that Jennifer McCormick is the candidate that can do that.
You mentioned supermajority politics. A number of Democrats over the last few years have spoken of breaking the supermajority. From a policy standpoint, is it enough to break the supermajority, as you put it? Because here in this state, you only need a simple majority to override a gubernatorial veto.
I think it's really important because for a few reasons. Number one, Democrats have to be in the state house for the state government to really conduct business, for the General Assembly to function. Right now, that's not the case. So number one, if Democrats are in the building, you can conduct the business of state government. Number two, an extra Democrat, if we break the supermajority, there would be an extra Democrat pretty much on every committee. And that's really important because committees are where a lot of legislation is made, crafted, changed, altered, all of that stuff. And I really, really do think that there are some sensible Republicans in the State House, and that if we had an additional Democrat on some of these committees, we could partner with folks and say, this is too extreme. This is overboard. We're going to focus on kitchen table issues, bread and butter issues. We're going to get some of this other stuff out of the way and just focus on Hoosiers. And I think that that's what a lot of people would like in their government. And I will say, I've talked with a lot of Republicans. I think that they would welcome that too. They would welcome a state government where there's a little bit more balance and there's a little bit more common sense in the halls of the State House.
What are some down ballot issues that you're going to be watching closely on election night, races that you think will be a good barometer?
I think there's no question that places like Hamilton County are really the epicenter of a lot of change in Indiana. This is a county that decades ago was one of the most conservative, most Republican counties in the state of Indiana. Over the last few cycles, Joe Biden has done well there. Destiny Wells has done well there. Joe Donnelly has done well there. Carmel, Fishers, Westfield, Noblesville, those places. These are places that are changing very rapidly. They're growing very rapidly. Highly educated workforce coming here for jobs, things like that. Great schools in those communities. These are people that I think reject sort of Trump-style politics and want a state government, want a national government that's just focusing on normal issues. And so that will be a really interesting place to watch on election night when polls close.
How would you rate your chances of breaking the supermajority in the General Assembly, if not flipping a chamber outright?
I think we need to bite off what we can chew, and so we've been very clear from the beginning, really of this year, that we want to try to pick up 4 seats. So 4 in 24 is kind of our mantra, and we've identified the districts that we think are the most competitive. The great thing there is we have fantastic candidates running. So Tiffany Stoner in Zionsville is a great candidate running in House District 25. Josh Lowry is running in Westfield. He's a fantastic candidate, ran for state senate 2 years ago. Matt McNally running again, District 39. He ran for this district 2 years ago, came up a little short. He's running again. He's an Afghanistan veteran, fantastic campaigner. He's working hard every day, knocking on doors. And then you go a little south of here, outside Bloomington, is House District 62. Our candidate is Thomas Horrocks. He's a Army chaplain, pastor in his community, a great candidate. We lost that district 2 years ago by under 100 votes, something like 70 votes or something like that. And so those are places where we have great candidates. They've worked really hard. They're reaching voters, and we think that we can pick up those 4 seats.
That was Indiana Democratic Party Chair Mike Schmoll. Before that, we heard from Indiana's Republican Party Chair Randy Head. If you haven't voted yet, early voting continues until noon on Monday. On Tuesday, the polls are open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. local time. If you are in line when the polls close at 6 p.m. Tuesday, you will be allowed to cast a ballot. Make sure you get out and vote, and then tune in to Wish TV throughout Tuesday night for all the latest election results and remarks from the candidates. I'm Garrett Bergquist. Thanks for listening.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.